to the second part of the Emotional Quotient 2021 module. This is Rosemary Honrado, and I hope you learn a lot from the slides that I will share. Please allow me to share my screen and share with you. So in Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18, it says, "There is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing." There are people who are not very careful with their choice of words. And when you say rash words, these are thoughts spoken out like there's diarrhea in the mouth, wherein words just rush out as they come into their heads, and then oftentimes they hurt the people who hear them. So that is why they're like sword thrusts. No? And there are actually some people who deliberately say hurtful words, and all the more the sword thrusts are deeper. But what we should try to do instead is to have emotional quotient that is higher and better so that we can be like the wise people whose tongues bring healing. So instead of hurting others with our words should bring comfort, should make other people feel better. So hopefully you will continue on with this module so that you can be those people who people want to be around with, because when they're with you, they feel better, they're happy, they're comfortable with you. You heal them with your words and your presence. Another Bible passage is Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1. "A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Normally, when you're a recipient of a sermon, you want to answer back and get angry in return. But if you try to hold yourself back and answer softly, then you oftentimes will get the result of having a soft answer back, or at least a less angry sermon will continue. But if we answer anger for anger, curse words for cursed words, then obviously the anger will keep on going and more hurts along the path will happen. So let's try to respond softly with loving words if we can help it, even if we are in front of a tirade of angry words. So with good emotional quotient, that is also possible. So emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions. That's the first part. That's why part one to this module was helping you understand how high or how low is your emotional intelligence, because you have to understand yourself. And part of understanding yourself is understanding your feelings. So oftentimes when we feel, and this is the human part of us, we should take that as an opportunity to get to know ourselves better. Why do we feel sad? Why do we feel jealous? Why are we angry? If we can get to the reasons behind these feelings, then it would lead to a much better understanding of ourselves and how we think inside. And if we understand our feelings and why we feel this way, we can address the reasons behind our feelings and manage how we feel. Oftentimes, it might be common sense why we are feeling this way, but when we try to be more rational with ourselves, it seems that we were actually quite unreasonable and too judgmental of others and ourselves. So, our emotions that lead to the thoughts that we uphold with regards ourselves and other people around us are things we should understand so that we can control ourselves. So feelings is the doorway to understanding ourselves. Secondly, we define emotional intelligence as the ability to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. We don't want to be bad influences. what we want to be is a good influence. Therefore, if our actions, our words can be good influence on others, it will also entail understanding how they feel and recognizing ourselves and how alike we are with them. And even if they are different from us, there is still that effort of trying to understand them and putting ourselves in their shoes so that we can better project or better predict how they would feel if you do this and you do that. So, having emotional intelligence is actually not about IQ or no being good in academics. It's about being good in understanding ourselves and understanding others so that we can control ourselves and even influence others to be good and do good and not lead them to sin. So here are what could happen to us if we are not able to control our EQ. These are the traumatic stress reactions that if we just not control ourselves and just let ourselves go with having too much feelings, too much misunderstanding. So it can lead to depression, wherein it means you've been sad for too long and too often. Or it can lead to panic or anxiety attack. You get nervous, your heart beats fast, you think you don't know what to do, and you're in shock sometimes if you panic too much. Also, you could go crazy, nag-amok, nagwala, go into unreasonable behavior. And then you could also seem like you've been possessed. So these are things that are evidences when you are feeling things too much and you cannot control your feelings anymore and your emotions are getting the better of you. So if we don't want depression, panic, possession, going crazy happen to us, then we should try to control our emotions and have better EQ. So according to ethics, anyone can become angry. That is easy. But to be angry with the right person to the right degree at the right time for the right purpose and in the right way, this is not easy. Everyone has felt anger. But in a situation, we should try to seek the truth out so that we are angry at the right person. And when we seek the truth out and know indeed if she has a fault in that situation, we should be angry at the right degree. And then we also have to be angry at the right time, which is usually right after the event. Getting angry ahead of ourselves or getting angry too late is not timely for our emotions and will lead to trouble later on and misunderstandings. And we have to be angry for the right purpose. Was that situation worth being angry about? And in the right way. Now, this is also difficult. Is there a right way of being angry? A person with good EQ knows how to express anger in the right way. I'll tell you how later. So, first, we have to be aware of our feelings. Feelings is all good. In order to know our feelings, we have to step back a little and observe what's happening to us and to the others around us. This allows us to be objective. And although feelings are often illogical, they have to be listened to and addressed. And oftentimes, in order to address it, we have to do a little self talk. a dialogue with ourselves, just so we know why we are feeling this and that. So there is no such thing as wrong feeling. All feelings are honest, and they are indications of how we really are thinking inside. So what is going to lead us to sin sometimes is the actions that we do after we have had strong feelings. So the feeling itself is not wrong. It's what we do after we have felt it that becomes the sin if we do the action that is wrong. So, if, for example, it's not a sin to be jealous. Some say it's normal to be jealous. But you have to ask yourself the question, why are you jealous? Oftentimes we are insecure. Why do we envy? Because we want something that others have and we don't. So these feelings are not necessarily wrong in themselves. Now, after being envious or being jealous, what do? We start causing a scene, or we start arguing with other people, or in the case of envy, we get things without permission, for example, or do fraudulent acts just so we can have the material thing we covet. So these are the actions that we did after having felt jealous or envy. And these are the actions that will be judged as sins. Now, bigger than that, if we feel envious and jealous and we influence others to do the same and say things to make us feel better, but also we are bringing down people who are not even aware we exist. So these are moments where we are indulging too much in the feeling of jealousy and envy, and it's leading us to sin and leading us to influence others to sin. So indulging in too much negative emotion can also lead to sinful thoughts. So this is why also we sometimes are led to sin when we indulge ourselves too much, for example, in pornography or watching too many videos that treat women as objects. Therefore, what leads us to sin when we indulge too much in watching these videos is that we will act disrespectful towards women and treat them as objects, for example. So it's that indulging that eventually leads us to sin. So it is important to let feelings be felt, expressed, or vented. You have to have you have to let your feelings have their moment. Whether you're gonna cry when you are sad, you can talk about it with a good friend, and which is actually one of the best solutions because being able to talk it out makes you recognize how you feel, and during your conversation with your friend or your family, you usually find out why you felt that way. So at least you have time to think about your feelings before you act on them when you talk to someone about them and when you let your feelings have their time. Just as long as you don't let the feelings overwhelm you or take too long to be resolved. What's important is that after you have acknowledged what you felt, you do something about it so you no longer feel that way. So, what we have to do is we learn to write our hurts in sand where waves of forgiveness can erase them easily. So, every time a wave comes along, whatever hurts we wrote on the sand will get washed away. But carve your blessings in rock so no one can wash them away. So happy things, blessings, those are the things to be remembered. And those are the things that will continue to make us happy when we remember them. So those things we must not allow to be washed. Those things we should celebrate, the good things, so that we will remember them even more. So going back to being able to give feedback to others let's try to also give good feedback by giving honest feedback. If we are good friends and family members, and we are in a situation where we need to comfort somebody who is sad or who feels guilt or who feels bad, then let's try to give honest feedback and not just sweet but false words, not things that give them false hope, but honest comments and suggestions so that they can build um, better confidence from our words. They will feel loved when we continue to be their friends despite their flaws and their negative sides. And when they feel that they are loved despite the negative that they've shown us, they know that they are indeed worth loving. Now, our problem is that if the negative things are coming from ourselves, and that's really hard to erase sometimes unless we really improve the way we talk to ourselves. So, here are EQ tips that we should consider. The problem today is the acute lack of feedback on how they're doing as individuals. So, when we have feelings that we need to express, it's good to talk to friends, people who can give us feedback. The problem today and with the pandemic is that we don't usually get to have the opportunities to talk with friends and relatives and family who can give us good feedback because we need their honesty and sincerity, and we need them to feel that their presence is there despite all the negative things we've been saying. And it is only through our resolve to be better persons and their support of us in trying to be better persons that we can improve our confidence and our self-love. So it's not just self-confidence that we are after when we talk about emotional quotient. It is actually self-love. Loving ourselves, loving our friends, loving our family despite the flaws and the weaknesses. So self-feedback and self-forgiveness is crucial too. We are our own worst judges and critic. Sometimes, no, oftentimes, we want to be like the people that we see on the net, the models, the actresses we see in the magazines, and the pictures on the Instagram. And oftentimes, we are far from the thin and the beautiful, the straight, long haired girls that we see in those pictures. And with all the stressing, we binge and we eat, we get fat. And so when we face ourselves in the mirror in the morning, we say negative things about how we look and keep on crying over the bulges that we see. Now, how are we going to improve our self confidence then if what we dream and what is reality is so far? Now, you have to rationalize and improve your self talk. It's either you do something about the weight gain, exercise, eat less, or you accept yourself as who you are as adorable, chubby person who is lovable inside and out. So either way, it's a matter of perception and it's a matter of how we talk to ourselves. We should reinforce also our change for the better by rewarding ourselves for good behavior or distracting ourselves when wallowing in self pity. By trying to change for the better, we should only do little steps at a time and not try to do too much so that our expectations are met and we don't disappoint ourselves. But when we do reach certain milestones in our self improvement program, we should also reward ourselves. And these are the moments that we should celebrate and set in stone. And we must be forgiving if we do slide back sometimes. But still, if that is our goal, we have to keep doing our best. And then rewards must be self-benefiting and not self-indulgent. What does that mean? You try to stop smoking. So the reward must not be to smoke once in a while as your reward, but do something that will benefit you, whether you're going to eat a favorite snack or you're going to watch a movie or do something that is good for the soul. So your rewards are things that you like to do that are good, and don't indulge yourself in your vices as your reward. And then on days that you have to do mentally and emotionally draining activities, insert energizing activities to keep your mental health. These mentally and emotionally draining activities are often things that we do not want to do 24/7. So sometimes, especially if we don't like our work, we have to do it 8 hours of the day. And that is mentally and emotionally draining for us because we don't like what we do. But then it's necessary because we earn income from it. Well, hopefully you reach a point where you will find a job that makes you happy. But given that this is your situation today, so when you get home, you're really tired because you feel drained from doing something that does not make you happy. So, what you should do for your mental health is that during your snack time, lunchtime, and snack time during the 8 hours of work, try to insert energizing activities. And what are energizing activities? These are activities that you like to do, activities that you love to do. Even if they don't pay you, you would still do them. So, if watching Korean novela is what makes you happy, then this can be your energizing activity, or reading a book or prayer time, so that when you go back to work from this break of an energizing activity, then you would feel better, energized, not totally drained. You would have been like a battery that has been charged again. So these are tips so that you can handle your stresses and be better with your mental health. Confront your evils, especially yourself. Try to love yourself and speak positive things about yourself. And then do something about the problems that make you sad, make you angry, make you feel guilty, make you feel ashamed, so that you will stop feeling this. And rationalize with yourself so that your self respect, your self forgiveness is there, and there is always that constant effort to be better. Okay? You must do your best to get calm before you act on your anger. Try to keep your mouth shut until you have gone calm. If you get angry, count 1 to 10 very slowly, or take several deep breaths until you are calmer. If that does not work for you, walk away from the situation or the person that got you angry, and expend your angry energy in exercise or any energetic activity or any distracting happy activities. You could also try praying, because no anger can be prolonged when you are in dialogue with the Lord. Also, you can try sandwich thoughts. What are these? No? It's called a sandwich because you try to think good thoughts and then the negative thoughts and then good thoughts again. So, in the effort alone of trying to think good things about the person before and after the negative thoughts, you would already have calmed down. But during the negative thoughts about the person, try to control it so that you are still able to try to understand the person who caused your anger. So by trying to think good things, understand the bad things, and still say good things about the person right after the bad things. The sandwich thoughts and the sandwich exercise will help you get calmer. It will also help you rationalize and understand the person who caused the anger. Now, if what got you angry was the situation, but it's a situation that could not have been helped, or it's a situation you couldn't change, or it's just a situation that happened by chance. Please do control your anger by rationalizing it, that these things can happen and these things do test us, but we have to be better than our anger. We have to be stronger than the anger that overtakes us, because we don't want anger getting ahead of us, getting control of us, and making us do things we regret much, much later. So when you are angry, try to distance yourself from the situation and the person that caused your anger, and try to get yourself calmer by doing distracting happy things, expending your energy that is angry, praying if you must, and thinking good thoughts. So if you have questions about what we covered today, no, uh, please feel free to just type in your questions and I'll do my best to answer them. I hope you learned much from the second module, and I hope you will look forward to the third module.